And she was like, right, I've got a massive Salvi Egan, take it, use it.
What? That's an unusual story. I've never heard that one before.
I was a bit cynical, as in thinking, will I be able to learn will I be able to learn like an online way? And
Hmm.
I couldn't have been more wrong. So yeah, my advice to anyone doing it would be throw yourself in. There's so much support.
So, Giles, you learned to play the harp in just 6 weeks, including 3 songs and learning to play from chords. It's really been so inspiring to see your commitment and your progress, and I really can't wait to hear your story today. So, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So, let's start at the very beginning. How long had you been thinking about learning to play the harp before your fingers touched the strings? What drew you to the instrument in the first place?
I have I'm old, so I'm 50. Oh, well, not that old. Quite old. Um, I think music's kind of always been in my life. As a kid, I loved kind of singing. Um, I was always kind of a bit, I don't know, like my parents couldn't really afford music lessons. So when I turned 18, I learned piano and just kind of self-taught myself. So I played piano kind of all my life. Not to an amazing standard, probably to an intermediate, but I'd always had in my heart when I was a kid. I don't even remember where I saw the harp. I think I saw it on TV once. And I just always wanted to learn piano, harp, and violin. I've never got not got to violin yet. Always there, but I always kind of avoided it because it's got this kind of mystique and this reputation for being like the most difficult instrument that you can play. And it feels expensive, or it felt expensive. And I don't know, it was just kind of off my radar. And yeah. So I've always wanted, it's always kind of been there. It's always kind of been in my heart. And basically, I just got super lucky because one of my really good friends, we've been friends for probably about 7 years, so quite relatively new in my life. And she's a professional harpist. And I just kind of said, oh, I'm so
Ooh.
jealous. I've always wanted to play the harp. And she was like, right, I've got a massive Salvi Egan, take it, use it.
What? That's an unusual story. I've never heard that one before.
So it's not mine, it's on loan, but yeah, amazing. So, and
That's
ever since,
incredible.
yeah,
So you didn't
yeah,
have that hurdle of like trying to choose a harp and buy a harp and all of that. The harp, like it landed in your lap, you had to go for it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's amazing. I see there's a guitar behind you. Do you also play guitar?
no. I got a guitar, but I can probably strum 3 chords. My problem is I'm a bit of an instrument addict, so play the handpan as well. I've got a set of
Wow.
drums. My main instruments are piano and handpan. But yeah, the guitar was just one where that gets to the point where it's like I bought an auto harp as well for Christmas, and it's just like just stop and learn.
Yeah, once I started playing harp, guitar just felt like it's so much effort to just be average. I don't know. I respect people. I mean, my husband's a guitar teacher. I really respect people who want to put in all the effort to play the guitar, but I feel like you get a lot more reward for your effort with the harp.
And it's quite hard to hit the bum notes, isn't it? It always sounds beautiful no matter what you do.
Okay, so you were given this harp to borrow, and now you've got to face how are you going to learn this thing? Like, what was it like in the beginning? Were there any challenges, frustrations, or yeah, how was it getting started?
I mean, it was quite. Yeah, I mean, I was. I think because I'm quite musical. So when I say I'm quite musical, like if I'm playing an instrument, I can pick up most instruments and make a nice sound, and I know if it sounds relatively good or not. So I
Hmm.
kind of felt like I made some real amazing progress with it. But watching kind of videos back, I did do a few videos and like on my day one, and literally I'm like drumming with one finger, playing like just the worst technique kind of in the world. Woohoo! So I had fun with it, but it was yeah, I don't know, it was I didn't make much progress and I got frustrated quite quickly. Um
Mm.
I can't remember when I
So
got the
you
harp.
felt at first like you were getting somewhere because you could hear these tunes, coming out on the harp, but then because you didn't have that technique, it kind of hindered you from progressing further, and then you got frustrated.
Yeah, definitely. And then
Mm.
I can't remember when I got the harp. I can't remember if it was the beginning of 21 or 22. I think it was 22. And then and noodled around with it for a couple of weeks. Then a string went, then another string went, then it sat in
Oh.
the corner, then another string went, and then it was just that was it. It kind of ended up sitting there for God, well, I think literally to a few months before I joined the beginners program. So it was there
Mm.
for kind of 18 months with strings pinging off in the middle of the night and terrifying me. And
So you were very much one of those people. You were at risk of your harp just sitting there in the corner forever. So what made took you out of that harp sitting in the corner stage and to try something different?
it was there the whole time, kind of. And every time a string went, and I phoned my friend because I needed to, because I didn't. Again, the thought of changing a string terrified me at that at that point.
Oh,
Um,
same.
in the end, I kind of phoned my. I was speaking to my friend, and she was like, she said, basically, if you don't play your harp, she's going to keep snapping strings to get your attention.
That's such a good way of saying it.
So my friend came around, we got all the different strings and kind of, yeah, restrung the harp, and that was it. Ever since then, I've learned. I had plenty of strings goes, but I've learned to kind of do them now. And but the whole time it was calling at me, and it was annoying me, and as in I really wanted to kind of play, and it was
Mm,
frustrating. Couldn't. So yeah.
yeah. And then what made you decide to try learning from a program?
I think, well, I'd kind of I discovered you on on YouTube, and obviously, followed lots of your kind of videos there. And but you're a great teacher, and it was very, I don't know, it felt you kind of simplified it a bit, and it felt like it wasn't such a massive hurdle, and it didn't feel like, I think I'm a bit of a, I don't know, I immediately project myself into, right, how do I get to grade 8 on the harp? Overthink it and overcomplicate everything. But so I think I noodled around with some of your your free kind of beginner course on YouTube.
Mm,
Um, and then I don't quite know. I went onto the website and was obviously kind of having a snoop around there. And I think it was just good timing that the beginner's course kind of came up.
mm,
I was a bit cynical, as in thinking, will I be able to learn will I be able to learn like an online way? And
mm,
I couldn't have been more wrong. Just the courses are amazing, like the each kind of learning each song, and the courses there are kind, it's amazing. It's kind of, I probably shouldn't say it, but it feels better than actually having a harp teacher right there. I know it sounds daft, but you can, I don't know, just the constant reminder of the techniques, being able to kind of go
mm.
drill it in. And I was a bit cynical to start with, but yeah, wow, really worked. I really enjoyed the format. Yeah, you've done well
Oh,
there.
thanks. Yeah, I think that practicing with a video, it's like having a teacher there with you while you're practicing. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to if you literally learn just from a course, sure, maybe you don't get the feedback from a teacher unless you're in a program like this. But when you're learning from a teacher and then you go home and you're completely alone, you can practice completely wrong. So you were a bit nervous about joining an online program. Did it feel like kind of risky, or what did it feel like going into it?
I mean, I felt no, I felt kind of fine. I'm kind of if I've got to jump a river, I just jump it and worry about it later. So I was quite happy to kind of join it, and I was really looking forward to it. I was just a bit unsure whether it would work,
Yeah,
whether I'd actually kind of make progress or learn kind of pieces, but yeah, yeah,
yeah. You
that
were
was
you were just like ready to be proven wrong.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
I love your t-shirt.
No,
That
I
is
thought,
so cool. Is that you when you first got your harp and then
oh, actually, I think I might still be here, but
Oh, it's so great. Okay, so when you learned musical instruments before, did you have in-person teachers. Have you learned other things online before? Like, how did this compare to things you've learned in the past?
I mean, I work in learning and development, so I've done lots of kind
Oh.
of, yeah, I've done lots of different online bits and pieces. I don't know, I think it was, I didn't, yeah, well, I've never had, I have had a piano teacher, but literally only a couple of years ago. It was the
Oh.
first time I've ever kind of had lessons, and they were great, but without I struggled with them a bit because I'm super busy and with work and everything. I didn't always have the time to practice what I needed to practice before the following lesson for it to be productive. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's good about these courses. You can kind of do them at your own pace. Obviously, the beginners program was slightly different to that. But yeah, I've always kind of self-learned. And even though I love online learning, I was still a bit cynical thinking, but if there's not a teacher there to hear or to guide me on move your thumb up or put your fingers down, but there was plenty of that through the courses.
Mm.
It seemed that every time I was kind of making a mistake, you or Kara would pop up on the video and be like, thumb up. And I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I also came from a background of in-person lessons. So honestly, when I started creating the courses, it was with the idea of it was just going to help people who literally had no option of a teacher because, you know, people just either couldn't afford it or there's no harp teacher near them and they didn't necessarily want Zoom lessons or something like that. So honestly, after I made the first couple of courses, I was surprised by how well they worked. So I can understand the surprise factor.
But yeah, yeah, it definitely works.
So when you signed up, what were you hoping to achieve by the end of the 6 weeks?
I think I wanted because the harp had sat there for a long time, and I can be a bit of a get very passionate about something, and then suddenly and me saying I'm going to do it, and 4 years have passed and I haven't done it. So I think the structure of it really helped me as well, having a bit
Hmm.
of a yeah, having some deadlines because I kind of understood you were going to learn three different kind of pieces. So again, I knew there'd kind of be deadlines with, so that aspect of it really kind of appealed um, as well. Yeah.
So you were hoping to learn those three pieces and then just be held accountable in a way that you maybe couldn't when you were noodling around on your own.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's cool.
And I think also to be with a group of, yeah, to kind of be with a group of people learning the same things as well. Um, yeah, yeah.
And when the program started, what was it like diving into the first week? Did it feel different to what you expected? How was that experience of getting started?
Um, how was it going? So I'm trying to remember now the first week. Um, yeah, I just kind of jumped in with both feet. I was kind of loving it. I kind of made a real commitment to I've because I'm with the piano, I'll go through periods where I'm really on it and then when I'm not. And I with the piano, I'd gone through a thing of I'm just gonna do even if it's 5 minutes a day, but I'm doing it every day. And I had went into the harp with the same thing with just being just 5 minutes every day, even if that's all it is. And invariably I was there for 15 at least, or sometimes 2 hours. And that was literally pretty much straight away. I kind of just threw myself in. Even on the days when I was super busy, I was like, I can carve 5 minutes.
And then you feel like you don't have the energy for it, but you're like, okay, I can do 5 minutes. And then once you start doing the 5 minutes, then it's actually energizing you and the energy appears.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that feeling.
And the way the songs are kind of where you've got like the sections like the A, B, C, D. It's amazing how you do start to fly through them, even when you carve just a little bit of time.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, yeah.
cool. And how did it feel to have a clear plan compared to figuring things out on your own?
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I really like that. And even that, yeah, I think that's why it kind of works. I mean, yeah, for the beginner's course, I absolutely loved it. So yeah, there's because there was obviously we had the three pieces that we were learning, but then there were also kind of the skills like that we learned along the way. There was also extra kind of bits that were supporting it, and obviously with the so there was a it was kind of coming at the whole thing had lots of different angles as you were going through it.
Mm.
Um, which yeah, which kind of really kind of motivated me and kind of definitely kept me kind of learning. I think I need structure. I think now I've learned like Misty Mountains cold, and now I quite like the Lord of the Rings and all that. So now I've got Misty Mountains cold, the May It Be, those are all lined up for me. So again, I've kind of built my own, right? This is my next my three-piece program I'm going to do on my own.
Oh, that's so cool. Maybe you should post about it in the Harp Beginnings group and see if anyone else wants to be a part of that little program with you. That would be
Yeah.
cool. You can share with each other as you're going so that you have a little bit of accountability.
I did post a picture of me in a dwarf, knitted dwarf hat.
Oh, amazing. So then they can join the program as long as they share something of a photo of themselves with
Like,
something Lord of the Ring related, even if it's just like pick a leaf from the garden and make some kind of it's cool. Okay, and what about the having the weekly feedback and support from a harp teacher? What was that like for you?
um, do you mean in on the calls itself, or to kind of?
So the opportunity to ask Carrie questions or play for her like you did in week two.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that was brilliant because I felt sometimes I felt a bit because my advice for anyone would be I went to drama school when I was very young, and one of the things they taught us was you have to kind of get egg on your face. You have to put yourself out there and just do it. It doesn't matter if you fail, it doesn't matter if you mess up. And I kind of brought that a bit. There were some people that were in the course was slightly more timid with kind of putting themselves out there. Whereas I was very much like, right, I'm going to sit here and wait for no one else. And if no one else goes, I'm going to say, yep, I'll perform. So I threw myself into that as well, and it was brilliant just to get the kind of the feedback as you kind of go. So yeah, my advice to anyone doing it would be throw yourself in. There's so much support, and it yeah carries lovely. Um, yeah, so that yeah, it was super kind of beneficial to do that.
Yeah, Carrie does such a great job with those feedback or the progress calls. I often watch the recordings afterwards and I'm like, oh, it's just so sweet. She creates such a lovely atmosphere.
Yeah.
Maybe now is a good time for us to have a little peek at what you were like in week two, when you played in week two, and then it'll be interesting to hear what you think because I don't know whether you've watched yourself back playing that.
No.
So that'll be that'll be an interesting thing for you. Um, okay, so here's Giles in the corner, and you're about to volunteer. Maybe there was a long gap, and you were like, "Okay, got to be me then."
All right, Giles, do you want to play for us? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'll trial risk. I'll play.
Awesome.
Shall I just go for it?
All right, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Oh, right. Let's try these fingers, right.
Yay! Giles, thanks for being brave and kicking us off with playing. That was awesome.
Oh, that was so nice. What was it like for you to watch that now? What do you think?
Well, well, now I know how to use the musician setting on Zoom as well.
Yeah, yeah, we could hear you, but it wasn't quite what your harp really sounds like, right? But
Even
yeah, I
then,
mean, that was week two. So where were you at? What were you thinking? Tell us a little bit of what was really going on at that point.
I think because I'd kind of thrown myself into it and I'd learned the piece. It's always different, isn't it? When you're playing on your own, you're like, oh, I've got it, or this is good, or I'm only making a few. And as soon as you in front of everyone else, it just falls apart.
But it didn't.
No, no, it didn't. Yeah, it's better than better than I thought it was at the time.
Yeah, no, I think you're doing so well. I mean, because now we know you had been kind of fiddling around on the harp for a fair bit of time, on and off, and probably more off than on. So you were kind of familiar with the instrument, but there you are playing the piece fluently with good technique. I mean, really good technique for someone who's just like a beginner, in week two of a program. So how did you get to that point so quickly? It's beautiful.
I think it was just carving out that little bit of time. Um, and yeah, just kind of making that, yeah, just practicing kind of every day and really not in a way, like I say, I'm super busy and I was around that time. So it not in a way where it's hours at a time. It was literally just t some days it was just 10 minutes,
Mm,
5 or 10 minutes. But doing it every day, you make such kind of progress as opposed to
mm,
doing an hour, then waiting a week, and then so I think it was just kind of really throwing myself into
mm.
that as well. I think the other thing is one, and I think I'm quite guilty, especially on the piano, and I was straight away of get, falling in love with a piece of music and grabbing it and it being way too advanced for me and like way out of
Mm,
my technical. And I could learn to play it, but it would take me 6 months to learn one piece. And I think there's something about because we were focused, you start with much more simpler pieces in the beginners program. Well, they kind of jump pretty quick, but that first kind of piece, I think because it was a more simpler, because it wasn't as complex, then you kind of make quicker progress. Does that make sense?
And did you have to change a lot of things about your technique to be able to play like that?
Yeah, yes, definitely. I think what I say, definitely. Yeah, I think the hand that the yeah, definitely the kind of the hand positions, and placing and yeah, just yeah.
You
Not
said that also the reminders of keeping your thumbs up, so I guess that was something that you weren't really doing before. So all the things about the hand position that you had to really drill into your into your
yeah.
fingers, right?
Yeah, and again, that's where the video courses were great because as you're learning it, there are these kind of reminders of what you should be doing and placing the shapes and yeah.
Well done. That's it's really cool to see what you achieved in such a short time. Um, so let's look at what I wanted to ask next. Oh yes. So now we've just seen you playing for the other students in the progress call. What was it like learning alongside other students with your classmates, having these Zoom calls where you could see other people who are learning the same things? What was
Yeah,
that experience like?
yeah, it was really, yeah, I loved it. It was really interesting. I mean, I'm in the UK in London, and there were just people from all over the world, which was really kind of, yeah, which was really interesting as well. But yeah, really nice people, and there was a lot of support. There was a lot of, yeah, there was a lot of support for each other, and lots of kind of encouragement, and yeah, it was really nice. It was a nice group. There was lots of kind of chat in our group as well online. Um, yeah, it was a really nice experience. Yeah.
Do you feel like it made a difference in your motivation or how well you learned?
Uh, yes, I think for me more so the whole structure of the course and having the kind
Mm.
of having a group to kind of come back to. Um, yeah, definitely.
Because it seems like you were probably going to throw yourself into it just with the deadlines and the structure of it. So maybe for you this was more of just like a bonus to have the people alongside you.
Yeah, and it was it would be very different without them. So it was a very nice kind of and you
Mm.
learn from other people as well. That was the interesting thing. You when you watch kind of other people play as well, and even I'm looking, going, "Oh, get your thumb up," or you see other people's, or you see, oh wow, look at her technique. That's really nice. You know, she's really kind of so the things that have been drilled into you, you start to see in other people as well. And of course, if Carrie gives someone else feedback, it's feedback for you as well. So yeah, it's kind of there's a lot of kind of group learning as that
You
happens as
got your eye in and you were able to like pick things out and be like, oh, and then
yeah.
you see yourself, oh, I'm also doing that. It was so interesting for me when I started learning to play the harp, how I could feel like I'm doing something technique wise. And then when I watched the video, I'm like, how my thumbs felt so high. Like I thought I was doing it.
Well, some of the videos that I sent to you as well, a lot of them I recorded more to kind of look at my techniques. Again, when I watch some of them, it sounds good, but I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible.
Well, we just got to keep on improving, right? And that's why recording it is so helpful. Um, yeah, I would actually love to, as an aside, I would love if you do still have a couple of those videos. You said you made a video on like day one and you looked back on it, like when you first picked up your harp. I think that would be really interesting for us to see how you were kind of playing with completely different technique and kind of just plucking out the notes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people they might feel like they're making a lot of progress because they can hear this lovely melody, but they don't realize until it's not too late, but it's almost like they wasted a bit of time maybe where they could have been learning something that's going to set them up for future success and now they have to undo the habits. And it is a bit of a mission to do that. It takes some humility. So it's nice to see that. And maybe someone who's considering getting started with the harp, if they can hear that from you, they might think, oh, well, maybe it's worth starting with good technique from the start so that I don't have to undo those things. So you learned to play 3 songs and even play from chord sheets by the end. Can you describe what it felt like to reach those milestones?
Um, yeah, it was. I think. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it felt really good because there's so many pieces I start and don't finish, so it was really good to finish pieces and 3 pieces within kind of 6 weeks. Um, so there was that. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, that was really positive, and that's it. That's a good kind of. Yeah, it gives a lot of kind of. I don't know what the word is. Not feedback loop, but it's motivation because where you finish one to be like, right, you've actually kind of finished it rather than having all these fragmented pieces that
Mm.
were probably too difficult for me.
And you stuck with it. Like
Yeah,
you told yourself you were going to do it, and even though your work was busy, you just kept on plugging away at it every day, which is really impressive.
yeah. And I think even if people, so I did the performance breakthrough as well. Don't know whether I should talk about this or not, but I joined that program. And again, I didn't have as much, like the content was brilliant, but I think because there was so much going on with work, I know that I didn't get a chance to keep up with that as much as I wanted. But the great thing is it's there for me to go back to. So, and again, it's the same with there were people on the beginners course who only managed to do some people only did 2 of the songs, but then I've seen them since and they've done the third and they finished it in their own time. So yeah, it's great.
That's so nice.
And you mentioned the chords. The only thing I was going to say with the
Oh,
chords,
yes.
that was quite because again, because I'm self-taught on the piano, I haven't it sounds daft, but I can read music as in puzzle it out, but I've never really understood chords. I've never had that kind of. So that whole workshop was really liberating, and I learned a lot musically. I know seems very basic, but to go actually, I can take any song and just get the chords and bash it out a bit on the harp.
And now here you are already singing and playing after such a short time. It's really awesome. Yeah, that was really cool to see you. In those videos you sent me afterwards, the harp program since learning the harp progress since learning the harp beginner program. It was such a lovely surprise at the end that the last song you were singing. And I was like, yay, he's still singing and he's learning from chords, and it's so great. It was really, really cool. So were you picking that out all just by ear? Because you played a little bit of an intro. I can't remember what the song was at the end
Oh,
of that video.
the last song.
Mm.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I think it's the Richard Marx right here waiting. Um, yeah, and it was literally just the intro, the first kind of
Yes.
bars, and I looked at the music. It wasn't the chords, so I actually looked at the music for the piano and thought, right, let me.
Oh, cool.
So
And
I'm
then
still.
did you play the rest of it from chords or make it up for harp?
I literally recorded that 2 nights ago, so it's a brand new piece that I kind of started learning.
It's really cool. Well done. I'm so glad you're inspired and you're keeping on going and you're learning new things. It's really cool.
I'm also,
Um,
I've looked at the rest of the music. I'm like, maybe I should get on with my late beginner stuff on learning the harp instead of going off piece too much.
well, I think it's nice to have a balance. You know,
Yeah.
if we feel like we're being good all the time, and yet there's this thing that you really is like tempting you on the side and you just can't wait to like get your fingers into it. I think why not do a little bit of both? Because this is for fun anyway. And yeah, that creative side of making something up or taking little pieces from here and there, like a little bit of piano sheet music and playing it from chords and whatever. I think as long as you're also learning to play with good technique that sets you up for success and you're learning good practice strategies and all of that stuff, but then exercise your creativity as well. I think it's important because otherwise we're just, sitting there in school with a teacher over our shoulder, and that's not what we want it to feel like. I actually had to, there was a point where I could tell that when I was playing from chords, improvising, I wasn't playing with picture perfect technique. And as a teacher who like makes videos for the internet, I was a little self-conscious at one point where I was like, is it okay that when I'm playing from chords and everything, like my fingers don't always fully close into my palm and whatever? Because in that moment, I don't necessarily need that and it's not what I'm thinking about. And so I had this like thought process and I was like, no, actually you need to be able to do both. Sometimes you need to just like you learn your good technique and then you almost like earn a right to break the rules a little bit sometimes and not think about it, because sometimes you just got to be creative and you got to think about what you're singing, and you can't be thinking all the time about is my technique perfect in every moment. But you also want to be able to draw on that to get you to be able to play more advanced things and to have that solid foundation. So I
There
know
was,
that feeling.
yeah, there was a bit of that with trying to play with that piece 2 nights ago, where it literally it plays one note twice, and then so you play one note, and then there's all four fingers that does a run down. So I was trying to do right, play the first note with my second finger and then place the four, but that wasn't
Mm.
working. I was like, can I do my thumb twice and then play? So it's a
I've
bit
done
of,
that myself. Yeah.
even now I'm trying to work out the placement of, do you know,
That's
from
great.
what
I mean,
kind
you're
of,
thinking about it. So that's the thing, is you've also got the tool of, okay, this is the, correct way that I learned, but in this particular situation, to be able to get to where I want to be, it actually helps me better to break this rule. But, I think all harpists do that because there are always exceptions to the rule, or there's a moment where it's just going to work better a different way. That's cool. Okay, so what what does the harp mean to you now after having completed that program and you're continuing to play? What kind of role is it taking in your life, and how are you feeling about the harp?
um I'm because again the last I think it was from the last couple of, there was a couple of months, I think probably October, November, where again strings went. I seem to be having strings going constantly.
Oh,
There was a bit
we
of a
got
kind
strings.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so, but again, I've managed to go, well, I've got all the strings back now. So, um, I'm kind of, yeah, I'm ready to kind of go into it again. I have been playing, but I've been playing the Misty Mountains a lot because it's in the bass. So I've not had to kind of, the strings that are missing have kind of been working. But what is it? Yeah. There's something about sitting at the harp. There's something about, I don't know, it's like having kind of a hug. It's a, like the piano is quite, whereas the harp, there's something around, you feel wrapped around it, and it feels like it's kind of wrapping around you. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, lots more harp this year, I think.
Yay! Do you feel the program set you up for what is coming next in your harp journey? Like, how has it been a springboard for you?
I think it's because it left a lot of this, it didn't leave. it's made me super curious. So again, like learning a lot of the technique, like the placement and the kind of the fingerings, what fingering to kind of choose. Again, it left me with kind of curiosity around that. Um, but again, I don't know if this is answering your question or not. The other thing I've really taken away from it was Carrie said I was very wispy, so I'd be playing the strings very kind of gently. And I feel like now I'm kind of really digging into them much more and kind
Yay, well
of really
done.
getting a really different tone out of the kind of harp. So I can see the strings move in the video and kind of so yeah, that's kind of opened up a lot of yeah, I don't know, there's something about that as well where I feel more connected with it and I feel
Mm. When you're digging in and making a good sound out of it, it feels different.
yeah. I'm not sure how my neighbors feel, but
I'm sure they love it. You should
yeah.
actually ask them at some point because at least then you know. Because I also often I feel hesitant. Like if I was practicing with my husband for leading worship at church, and I'd feel terrible because we literally share a wall with our neighbor. And then I mentioned it to her one time, and she said she can hear it, but she loves it.
Oh,
It really helped. Okay, so what is next for you for Giles with the harp? You said that you want to spend lots of time in 2025 playing. What are you wanting to do?
yeah. I think yeah, it's my Lord of the Rings three pieces. That's what I'm gonna yeah.
And
Get them.
after that, because I mean, you learn quickly.
I've got a ton of courses that I've bought that I haven't kind of done yet. So again, I'm gonna kind of yeah, I kind of want to move through those. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so increasing your repertoire. And do you have any plans of sharing that music with anyone?
Uh yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I will. But I need to work through the performance breakthrough one again because there were some commitments I made there that I didn't end up following through on. Yeah, because of time really. And then
Hmm.
yeah, getting sick at the last minute of Christmas.
Oh, man. Yeah. You had a lot of good reasons, work and all sorts. So so to kind of draw things to an end, if someone watching this is hesitant to start learning the harp or unsure if this is the right way for them to learn, what would you say to encourage them?
I would say 100% do it. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've been super blessed because somebody loaned me a harp. But I always thought, well, maybe I'll rent one. I looked into renting them. You can actually rent harps quite reasonably. So even if you rented one for 6 months, it's not a super kind of it's not a super expensive outlay. Um, and yeah, I just made so yeah, you will learn a lot more than you're expecting to learn. And again, like things like the chords workshop, things like the extra kind of skills that are there. There's so much we learn, and we covered so much. I can't believe how much we covered in the kind of the 6 weeks. When I look back on it, I was trying to make it as well as the three pieces you kind of learn. Obviously, all the just the kind of the chat and the questions that are answered in the progress calls. But again, learning the I can't remember the names of them, but like the chunking, learning about chunking, learning about placing, the whole thing of practicing a piece where you don't even play it, you just place the different chords.
Oh, yes.
That, that's something I've kind of taken. There's so much stuff. So yeah, um, it's a real kind of gift. I think it's a magical instrument. There's something about it where I don't know. For me, I don't know. There's something very spiritual about it. I mean, I think there is something for me very spiritual about it because it's been such a passion. It's something that I always wanted to do, but it was always a pipe dream where I thought I'm never going to be able to do it. So yeah, and it sounds, yeah, and people think, people keep saying to me, oh God, you're so talented when I have played a few things on the harp. And I'm like, yeah, not really, but it's amazing how it's simple things sound beautiful on the harp. Um,
Mm.
yeah, do
Well,
it.
I think it's a little bit of both. You were extremely committed, and you also are a musical person. You know, some people struggle even just to keep a regular rhythm, and that is not an issue for you. So you clearly have musical talent, but I think sometimes people use the word talent when what they actually mean is skilled, and usually skilled is a lot of hard work. It's you don't just wake up able to play Misty Mountains.
Exactly. And that's the people say, oh, you're so talented on the harp. And I'm like, no, I've sat here for 10 minutes every day, 2 hours on that day, 3 hours on that day. So yeah, yeah.
And do you have any advice that you would give to someone? Just, any advice. It doesn't have to be about the program. Do you have any advice that you would give to someone who's just starting their harp journey?
Um, just starting. I, I think it is don't stick to the level of pieces, stick to the level of pieces that you're kind of at. Um, I mean, that sounds very boring, but it makes such a difference because I mean, I'm so guilty of trying to play bits that are too advanced, but you make real progress by really immersing yourself in the level that you're kind of at. Um, and again, the other thing is to, if you are doing the course, is to really throw your when they, when Carrie invites you to kind of, does anyone want to play? Do it. Just do it. Um, it's yeah, you learn so much from that kind of feedback. Um, yeah.
So good. Thank you so much. Wow, it's really amazing to hear your journey and what you went through, and you speaking about it with, I can hear there's like this resolution and this confidence, and you know where to go if you need help, you know how to move forwards. You're confident in learning new pieces from courses, or figuring it out from chords or whatever it is. So I feel like you've got your toolkit, and now you're like going out into the battle, and you just like stepping with confidence, which is so amazing to see. And like every now and then just remind yourself of the fact that you could have been like so many other people who have this dream and they just never do it. But you actually did it. And you could have, even though the harp landed in your lap, you could have just left it in the corner and then given it back to your friend. You didn't, no one was forcing you to actually take those brave steps, commit, even though work was busy. So well done. It's inspiring not just to other people who want to learn to play the harp, but I think all of us, like we all have things that we kind of mean to do, and then life takes over, and you didn't allow that to happen, and now you're in such a different place in, what is it, like 7 months, something like with June, July, August. Yeah, it's
Hey,
6 months, seven-ish months, something like that. 8 months. Yeah, I mean, you haven't even got to the 1 year point, and look how far you've come. I think we're going to need to make a 1 year progress video with you, because you've been tracking yourself, and it's going to be cool to see.
yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you so much, Giles. It was really good to chat to you, and I'm excited to see how you keep going with the harp. And I think my encouragement to you would be like, yes, keep learning from courses, and choose the ones that speak to you. And, like you said, be wise with choosing something that you can actually learn and finish, because that's way better than something that's so hard that you can't finish it. But at the same time, let that creativity flow, and like even make up things, exercise your ear, like try and pick out things that you're listening to, because you never know where that creative side of you will take you. Who knows? Maybe you're going to be creating arrangements that you even want to put down into sheet music one day, or maybe you're going to be like, have your YouTube channel where you're going to be like doing your own versions of singing and playing, and people are like following with all your videos, or maybe it's just going to be you at home doing it for fun, and you can't believe that you're playing what you're playing. Or maybe you're going to find somewhere to perform in your local community, and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I end up here? But yeah, the sky's the limit, because you've already shown like what determination and consistent work can do. So keep up with that, and allow yourself to keep having fun with it, and I'm excited to see where it takes you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And well done. Brilliant site. What a brilliant company. Well done.
Oh, thanks. It's kind of crazy. I didn't know I would end up here either. Okay, well, I'll see you soon.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Take care. You too.
So if you're like Giles and you feel like you've been kind of noodling around with the harp and not making the progress that you would really like to see, maybe a program like Harp Beginnings is just what you need. Structure, classmates alongside you, feedback from a harp teacher. We'd love to have you there. Click the link below to join Harp Beginnings.